Another chance for severe storms makes today a WRAL weather alert day. I'll walk you through the timeline for storms and who could see some severe wind and flooding.
Rocky Mount utility bills. Today, the city will resume charging late fees and shutting off utilities after months of exceptions. What you need to know to make sure the utilities stay on at your house.
New voting regulations. The State Board of Elections signed off on new rules for mail-in votes. What this means for you in order for your vote to count.
Today marks the beginning of a string of WRAL weather alert days. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Renee Chu.
And I'm Chris Levinga. Thank you so much for joining us. And some storms are actually rolling in right now, and some of them could even become severe. We have meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner and the WRAL Severe Weather Center. So talk a little bit about how this could affect the evening commute, Elizabeth.
Well, as we're already starting to see some storms developing, we'll see even more of those as we get closer to the evening commute. So certainly you could be driving through a storm that produces heavy rain, lightning, and possibly some flooding. Right now, we're looking at a pretty potent cell that's sitting over Northampton County. But you look at the rest of the viewing area, and things are pretty quiet, at least for now. So we'll start here, and you can see from Woodland through Jackson up toward Roanoke Rapids, a lot of lightning and a lot of heavy rain with this particular cell. We'll move back up to Mecklenburg County, Virginia, and a little bit of a cell is trying to develop there. Elsewhere, things are pretty quiet, but now that we started to see one or two of these cells developing, we will likely see more of them. Here's a look at our next weather maker. It's that stationary front, and so that's what makes today a WRAL weather alert day. So starting now, we're already starting to see some of the showers and storms. We can expect that we'll see some potential for damaging winds later on, and the potential for flooding too. We'll have some heavy downpours with these storms. We take a look at Futurecast, and things are fairly quiet right now, but certainly we're starting to see the cells developing, and as we head through the afternoon toward the evening commute, we'll see more of them. Here's 5 o'clock, and we could see storm cells anywhere at 5 o'clock, and we'll continue to see those really all the way through midnight, maybe even into the wee hours of the morning tomorrow. So we do have a level 2 risk for flooding and severe weather. We did have some wind damage yesterday. We could see that again for today as well. We take a look at what's happening right now. It's warm out there, 84 with a dew point of 72, and we'll see highs in the upper 80s this afternoon with that good chance for showers and thunderstorms. We'll end up with some cooler temperatures. We do have 2 more days with severe threats, and we'll talk more about what's coming for the rest of the week in just a few minutes.
Yeah, certainly people want to hear that. Thanks, Elizabeth. We'll see you in a bit. The Grifols pharmaceutical plant in Clayton is back up and running after a power outage there. Authorities say that there were some strong storms last night that caused this, as we've been talking about right now. The WRAL Breaking News Tracker was at the plant on US 70 business around 1:30 this morning. One of the buildings lost pressure, causing an unfamiliar odor, but the company management and the fire department determined there was no safety or environmental risk. Again, the strong storm last night caused that outage, and it's such a good reminder to make sure you have the WRAL Weather app downloaded. That way, you can track storms just like our weather team does.
Today, Rocky Mount will begin shutting off people's utilities and charging late fees months after making exceptions due to the city's utility billing issue. WRAL's Heidi Kirk joins us live from the Rocky Mount Business Service Center. Heidi, some people say they were months behind on their utility payments and still have not been able to catch up.
Renee, that's right, and understandably so. People are very upset about this. In fact, a lot of people flocking right here to the Rocky Mount Business Services Center. I'm going to have my photographer show you just how long the line is right now. I mean, we have seen people going in and out all morning with questions, especially about when exactly their services could be shut off if they still cannot pay. Now, of course, this comes just weeks after the state auditor's office released that audit of the utility billing services. The audit was prompted after people got 2 bills in 1 month, which obviously fired a lot of people up. Now, the auditor's report found that the city did not actually double bill customers, but instead the city was trying to eliminate what they call a gap between meter reading dates and billing dates. And they say that was created by a mistake. Now, some people say ever since then, they just have not been able to catch up.
I used to run a warehouse. When we made a mistake, we absorbed it. When they make a mistake, they send us a second bill. It affected my food, because I like most of the people out here, we live on a fixed budget.
And that's what we keep hearing from folks here. They live on a fixed budget and they just simply cannot afford this since the bills have stacked up. Now, they're asking people with the city of Rocky Mount, come here to the Rocky Mount Business Services Center. You can see their hours right there. If you have any questions, they say they're working with people on payment plans. We reached out to the city to ask exactly what those look like for the people who are sitting in here right now. We have not yet heard back. Heidi Kirk, WRAL News, live in Rocky Mount.
Heidi, thank you. We have spent months covering financial problems in Rocky Mount. The city is tens of millions of dollars in the red. Officials raised water and sewer rates in an effort to fill that gap. Leaders also approved a new budget, which includes a property tax rate hike and increase in vehicle fees. You can find it all on the WRAL YouTube channel.
I'm Laura Levine here in the WRAL Live Center. We've been following an alert at RDU Airport this morning about this single person aircraft that was landing at the airport, and it made a landing here with some damage after it landed at the airport. We received some information about the single engine plane from RDU. They said that the airfield was closed temporarily for inspection according to standard procedure, and that one commercial runway reopened 15 minutes later, but a second commercial runway remains closed at this time as they are working to get the disabled aircraft removed. Right now, details on how the plane was damaged is still unclear, but flights continue to take off and land as usual. There were no reported injuries as we work to get that video loading here in the Live Center.
All right, thanks for getting that into the show for us, Laura. A man charged with a deadly tow truck crash had his $1 million bond updated to $2 million. Police say that 39-year-old Alan Guerrero made a U-turn at a red light on Capitol Boulevard. He crashed into a car and two motorcycles. Chandler Hodge was one of the people on those motorcycles, and he died during that crash on Friday, which was also his 35th birthday. Guerrero faces 8 charges in this crash, including his 4th DWI, and his next court date is next month. A soldier based at Fort Bragg was one of 2 U.S. service members killed in action over the weekend. Lieutenant Tyler James Freehan died Saturday, and that was after a strike at an air base in Jordan. The 25-year-old was part of the 2nd Battalion, 55th Air Defense Artillery Regiment. Private Isabella Gonzalez from Texas was killed on Friday, and CENTCOM is also assessing unidentified remains found during the same attacks. They could be another U.S. service member who was killed in those attacks, but in total, 17 American service members have died and more than 400 have been injured since President Donald Trump launched the war in February.
Anyone planning to vote by mail should pay extra close attention to the instructions this year. Today, the State Board of Elections signed off on new mail-in voting rules. One rule makes it easier to throw out ballots over new kinds of technicalities, such as using the wrong envelope. Republicans say they are needed for election security. Democrats oppose the rules. They say they are unlikely to stop voter fraud, but could cause legitimate ballots to be thrown out. You'll find more details on these new rules, plus what happens next at WRAL.com. The plane donated to President Trump from Qatar will be sent away in about a month to receive upgrades. Those upgrades come among concerns about its security features after the president flew home from a NATO summit in Turkey on a different presidential plane. At the time, Trump denied the decision was based on security issues. NBC News reported the Secret Service urged him to take the older Air Force One home from Turkey because he was departing from a location near the Middle East.
Well, Durham Public Schools welcomed year-round students back to class this morning. And WRAL's Elizabeth Holmes was at Easley Elementary School in Durham for their first day.
Roughly 4,000 year-round students will be coming back to the classroom today in Durham. They'll be the first of about 30,000 students to start school in the district this school year. Compare that to around 40,000 year-round students enrolled in Wake County. But the district here in Durham is making some changes. They're actively monitoring cyclosporiasis cases. As of Wednesday, there were 21 confirmed cases in the county, and the district is now making some changes to school meals. We spoke with the district superintendent about it this morning.
We recognize, the threat there, and we are not serving fresh produce until at least September. We are continuing to partner with our health department as they inform us on the best possibilities to ensure that our students are safe.
Now, pediatricians say that cyclosporiasis can cause children to become more dehydrated, but there is some good news when it comes to cyclosporiasis.
We do see things like salmonella and norovirus and food poisoning that happen year-round, right? Well, the The biggest thing to note about cyclospora is that it's not contagious, so kids shouldn't be any more impacted during their school day.
Students on the traditional calendar will start August 24th. In Durham, I'm Elizabeth Holmes, WRAL News.
Nearly 300,000 North Carolinians are now in default on their federal student loans, and that's according to a new report by the Associated Press. It shows that those borrowers collectively owe $7.8 billion in federal student loans. Now, nationally, the number of borrowers in default has soared since pauses on loan repayments during the COVID-19 pandemic ended. For more information on this situation in North Carolina, you can visit the education section of WRAL.com.
Now, here in the WRAL Live Center, the number of cyclospora infections in Wake County continue to rise. These are the new numbers that we're getting from the Wake County Department of Health. The total number of cases that they're tracking right now is 295. That's up from 270 on Friday. Then the number of people hospitalized at this time remains at 5. Of course, we've been continuing to track the infection and how it's spreading across Wake County and the state. And with that said, this is just an indicator that the state numbers that we could get tomorrow will be higher.
The Food and Drug Administration says Taylor Farms lettuce is not linked to the cyclospora outbreak after all. It turns out that their sample produced a false positive. The FDA says experts went back and reviewed sample results to make their conclusions. This means no products from Taylor Farms has produced a confirmed positive for the parasite that has sickened hundreds of people. Taylor Farms says it will continue to work with public health officials investigating the origins of the outbreak.
And this morning, Spain was celebrating its second World Cup win. Ferran Torres scored a goal in the 106th minute to give Spain a 1-0 win over defending champions Argentina in yesterday's final. Spain previously won the World Cup back in 2010, and their win denied Messi a title in what may have been his final World Cup. Now, as the game was going on here in the Triangle, fans packed the watch parties. That includes soccer fans at Sports and Social in Cary. When it was all over, Spain's supporters left with smiles across their faces. Fans said that sharing the moment with hundreds of other supporters made it feel like a little piece of the World Cup was right here in the Triangle. Very exciting.
Next at noon, a break-in at Saquon Barkley's. What police are saying about 2 suspects believed to be connected to the reported crime at the NFL player's home.
We're also talking about severe weather across America. A closer look at the flooding, the storms, and other dangerous conditions hitting the U.S., including right here in North Carolina.
And sidestepping cyclospora, why local farmers are seeing a boost in sales as some customers avoid buying produce at grocery stores.
Coming up next, sea storms moving in with WRAL's exclusive Dual Doppler 5000, sponsored by the WRAL Weather app. Download now for live radar.
Right now, the funeral service is underway for Nolan Wells, and today is also 2 weeks since his body was found near an island in Mississippi. As NBC's Aaron Gilchrist explains, the service will happen as a new report is leading to more questions in this investigation.
This morning, family and friends set to honor the short life of Nolan Wells as the investigation into how he died intensifies. Inside this massive church in his hometown, a huge turnout is expected, and his mother is planning a fitting celebration.
I know if Nolan was here, he'd be like, Mom, just keep talking to the people, keep telling my story, keep telling your story. So that is going to be my plan.
Reverend Al Sharpton will deliver Nolan's eulogy as demands for justice are growing. According to a newly released incident report, his mother reported her 18-year-old son missing at around 12:22 a.m. on July 5th.
Police reported her 18-year-old son, Nolan Wells, missing at 3 on Horn Island.
His body was found a day later on the northwest tip of Horn Island. Nolan went on an Independence Day boat ride with friends to the island just off the Mississippi coast, but his friends returned to the mainland without him. In audio of a call obtained by NBC News through a records request, someone on the boat reported a mechanical failure to a private towing company.
I want to get this boat on sank and towed back.
The towing dispatcher reached out to a local boat captain to help.
It sounds like a bunch of kids on board on Horn Island. He wants you guys to go out there and unpump the boat and then tow it in.
But the company says it did not end up towing the boat, saying to NBC News in a statement, before assistance was rendered, the vessel owner advised that sea tow was no longer needed because help had already been obtained. Sea tow's involvement concluded at that point. Now, Nolan's community prepares to say goodbye while struggling with a haunting mystery.
I think we all still stand behind
the parents and just want them to, get their piece and their questions answered.
Police are investigating a brazen break-in at the home of Philadelphia Eagles running back Saquon Barkley. This happened around 5 in the morning on Saturday, while police say Barkley and his family were all home. Police are searching for at least 2 suspects. They have released a photo of a white SUV they believe may be connected to the alleged crime. Several prominent professional athletes have been the victim of burglaries in the past few years, including NFL players Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. 7 men have been charged by federal prosecutors for their alleged roles in those burglaries, with 1 man already pleading guilty.
All the occupants of the house were physically okay, obviously a little unsettled, as anybody would be, but no one was harmed.
Last year, Chilean authorities returned 6 watches to actor Keanu Reeves, including one from the set of John Wick with an inscription on the back. The NFL, NBA, and FBI have previously warned athletes to update their security systems, to install cameras, and keep valuables in a safe.
Well, a family outing turned deadly in Utah. A fire captain, his wife, and 3 sons were killed in flash flooding over the weekend. Just heartbreaking to see that. NBC's Maggie Vespa reports on the millions of people dealing with severe weather, including here in North Carolina, plus the other states dealing with air quality issues.
Overnight, a relentless run of severe summer weather continues, with millions across North Carolina and Virginia pounded by heavy rain.
So much water coming out, the rain is insane.
While out west, flash flooding sweeping across this Utah highway. In just minutes, a wall of water overtaking homes and buildings. It follows a weekend of wild storms across the U.S.
Okay, that's not good.
In New York City Saturday, fast-rising floodwaters swallowing subway stations underground and streets above, even stranding 2 men on this box truck. First responders eventually guiding them to safety, walking on that narrow ledge. Meanwhile, this Maryland home's roof caught fire after neighbors say it was struck by lightning.
It sounded like people were throwing stones by the handfuls at my windows.
The storms causing major flight delays and cancellations.
This is crazy.
And turning deadly in Ohio, where authorities say at least 1 person was killed while dozens were rescued from the water.
I had my 3-year-old son in the back.
Meanwhile, several major cities spending days under the haze of Canadian wildfire smoke. This was New Jersey's MetLife Stadium Saturday, just 24 hours before Sunday's World Cup final, when conditions thankfully improved. Chicago's air quality deemed unhealthy again today.
I hope it goes away sooner than later.
Okay, so let's talk about what's happening right now, right? It's a WRAL weather alert day, and on the radar, it looks pretty calm for right now, but it's not the now that people should be looking forward to, Elizabeth. It's what's happening later.
Exactly. Probably 2 hours from now, we're going to see a lot of coverage on the radar. We have a couple of spots, especially up there in the Northeast. So right here from Roanoke Rapids eastward, lots and lots of lightning and some really heavy rain. And you probably remember that from yesterday. So we're going to see this across our viewing area. This particular band is moving out of the viewing area, but there is definitely more to come. You can see up in South Hill, a few isolated showers and thunderstorms there. And again, as we get through the afternoon, we'll have more of that to come. So this afternoon and into the evening is when we'll have the best chance of severe storms. Some of these will be strong to severe, meaning we could have some wind damage. We saw some of that yesterday. And flooding, too. There's so much moisture in the atmosphere. We'll have some heavy downpours. And it may look like this in some places. Thanks to Christine Scott of Youngsville for sending us this photo from yesterday. Lots of lightning is likely. And then, of course, trees down, too. Caitlin Bear from Carthage sent us this. You can see these 3 trees snapped in half, and one of them looks like it did some damage to that home there. So expect wind damage and dangerous lightning. Just be very careful. We'd love to see your photos, but it's important not to take photos of lightning unless you're inside and you can take it out of the window. Lightning is one of our #1 weather-related killers, especially in North Carolina. By 2 o'clock, we're starting to see more widespread cells popping up across our area. We will have some of that at 5 o'clock. o'clock and then all the way through dinner time up until around midnight or maybe even later. Again, heavy rain is likely. And of course, we had a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings yesterday. We'll likely see that repeated. We didn't have any flood warnings yesterday, but we may see that today. We do have that level 2 risk for severe storms, including wind and flood. Hail, a small chance. There was one report of hail damage yesterday. We're not likely to see tornadoes out of this particular event. Good bit of cloud cover, but it's warm and muggy. 84 right now as we take a look from the Weld apartments over toward downtown Raleigh. 72 is the dew point, so that's a very sticky afternoon for us. 91 is our normal high, so we're going to be below that for today. As a matter of fact, only one day in the next 5 days will we be above normal at 93. We're not looking at any extreme heat in the next 7 days, and that's definitely a wonderful thing. Switching gears a little bit to take a look at the tropics. We've had a very slow start to the tropical season, but Tropical Depression 2 is here, and at any point this afternoon, it could become Bertha, and it will likely continue to move west away from us and eventually dissipate after it moves over the coast of Louisiana and over toward Texas. This is not going to be a big rainmaker for us, but it's likely to bring some heavy rain to the Gulf Coast and some winds up to around 50 miles per hour. We continue with chances for rain both Tuesday and Wednesday. Obviously, our WRAL weather alert days. Some showers and storms could continue Thursday and Friday. Right now, the weekend is looking better than any weekend I can remember lately, with high temperatures in the 80s with a lesser chance for rain.
Laura Levine here in the WRAL Live Center following some big breaking news right now. The University of Michigan and Athletic Director Ward Manuel have agreed to a buyout for the remainder of the 3 years of his contract, and he will step down at the end of this year. This is culminating a decade-long run with 4 national championships and a string of scandals. The announcement coming today follows investigations into former football coach Sharon Moore's relationship with his executive assistant and a probe into the athletic department. Now, the school and a law firm was paid about $12 million to do work interviewing 300 people, including coaches, staff members, athletes, and other stakeholders. The athletic department initially found that there was a serious concern and leadership accountability concerns. The school says that they will conduct a national search for its next athletic director.
Significant update in that story. Thank you, Laura. Well, coming up in our news this afternoon, who's paying? An audit revealed a big number of Cary staff with town-issued credit cards, leading to a lot of questionable spending. So we investigate what makes Cary different when compared to other cities and towns. WRAL Investigates brings you that today at 4.
Plus, securing courthouses. 2 shootings in our area expose challenges in keeping courts safe. Tonight at 5, the new idea for one county to ramp up its efforts.
Hyundai is recalling more than 47,000 SUVs, and this is because of a seatbelt malfunction that can increase injuries during a crash. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration says that 2025 Kona electric and gas-powered models are affected. The rear center seat buckle on these models may not function properly, and that's because of a possible flaw in the metal. Owners will be notified and scheduled for a free repair. There have been no confirmed incidents, crashes, fires, or injuries because of this issue.
Coffee drinkers are turning to whole beans as prices are soaring. The head of one Italian roaster says consumers are buying less but better as they look to replicate the experience of the coffee shop. Sales of whole beans rose more than 3% in June. Coffee prices remain elevated as the markets face bad weather in several countries and delays to Brazil's harvest. Summer temperatures are heating up, but the price of ice cream cooling down. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the average price for a half gallon fell below $6 last month. It is driven by a dip in the wholesale prices of butterfat, which is found in ice cream's most expensive ingredient. We're talking fresh cream. Dairy farmers have been using advanced tech and selective breeding to increase the supply of butterfat in cow milk. Ice cream legally must contain 10% butterfat.
And now I want ice cream.
Interesting.
And yet there's none in front of us. We'll have to fix that.
Demand is up for sure.
Well, today marks the first of 3 WRAL weather alert days in a row. Right now, some viewers are seeing scattered showers, and Elizabeth Gardner will return with when the strong thunderstorms could move in.
Electric bikes and scooters, they are growing in popularity among teens. At 12:30, the urgent warning from emergency room doctors. And here's a look at your winning North Carolina Education Lottery numbers.
Yes. Storms are in the forecast again today. It is a WRAL weather alert day for the chance of flooding and damaging winds, too.
And we want you to be prepared. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner has the timeline for this and when we're most likely to see this. Elizabeth.
Starting to see a few cells pop in some areas, but it's certainly not widespread across our area just yet. We are seeing a little cell up in Mecklenburg County, Virginia, a few cells trying to develop in Greensboro, then south, southern part of Sampson County, moving over into Duplin County. And then, of course, we've had this cell here. We'll zoom in on this. It's moving out of our viewing area, but very slowly to east of Roanoke Rapids, moved past Jackson, but headed up toward Murfreesboro. Just a very heavy band of rain with a lot of lightning. Frequent lightning is something that we'll likely see as we get through the day today. And of course, we'll have periods of heavy rain. If you see one of these cells come over you, you could also have some wind damage and possibly some hail. So it hasn't really gotten cranked up too much yet, but it is likely to. Same pattern as yesterday. We have this stationary front that's sitting there, and that will act as a focusing mechanism for storms today, especially once we get past 1 or 2 o'clock this afternoon. So wind damage is possible, flooding also possible as we get through the afternoon. Let's walk through Futurecast, and once we get to 2 or 3, it's likely to be fairly widespread. It could affect the evening commute. We'll pause it right here at 5 o'clock, and you can't take this to the bank necessarily. This just shows some scattered storms. It doesn't mean that it isn't going to be raining in Raleigh or over in Southern Pines. We can see those cells pop up really in any part of the viewing area on through the afternoon and evening, likely to taper off after midnight. We take a look at that flood risk. It is level 2 risk across the entire viewing area, and the severe weather threat as well. Level 2 means that we have the chance of some wind damage, and we'll talk more about how much rain. We actually have 3 days in a row that will be weather alert days and a lot of rain in the forecast for the next 7 days. I'll show you how much it could total up where you are coming up.
Elizabeth, thank you. Stay on top of the latest storm developments with the new WRAL News app. Download it for free from the Apple and Google app stores, and then turn on alerts to get notified about severe weather in your location.
Happening now here in the WRAL Live Center, Spain's World Cup winning soccer team has arrived home, and take a look at these massive crowds. We're about 30 minutes away from their big celebration here in Madrid, and all of these people are waiting on the team's arrival. The 26-man squad will be greeted by royalty and Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez before boarding an open-top bus for a parade through central Madrid. Now, all of these fans will be greeting them as they travel to the Prime Minister's official residence. Then a ceremony with the players will then be held at the square, where previous Spanish national teams and their supporters have traditionally gathered to celebrate. Spain, as we know, walked off with the trophy at Sunday's final after defeating Argentina and dethroning the champions. Then
thousands of cases of cyclosporiasis have been confirmed in the U.S. Hundreds of these cases are in North Carolina, and the source is still unclear. WRAL's Kirsten Clark shows us the outbreak has led to a boom in business for local growers as people look for ways to avoid the parasite.
A jam-packed day at the state farmers market. We found Sissy Rodriguez and Taylor Catherine Fielding among the crowd, friends who decided against the usual trip to the supermarket this week for fresh fruits and veggies. That is, after learning about the cyclospora outbreak.
It makes me nervous. I feel like I keep hearing different pieces of information about how dangerous or where it's coming from.
The latest numbers from health officials show 307 cases of cyclosporiasis in North Carolina. 270 of them are here in Wake County. With big brands like Taylor Farms recalling lettuce, many shoppers are turning to locally sourced produce instead.
But I feel like it's safer to buy stuff, I think, from here than, yeah, totally, maybe like a big chain store, because at least for the most part, this stuff is coming from local farms and whatnot.
And here it's like you kind of know what you're getting. Everything's in season and it's just better.
It's a big plus for farmers, at least for Stephanie Moore, a farmer from Meadow, North Carolina, who says she's noticed a difference in sales since the outbreak.
We're seeing definitely increase the sales in our greens, lettuces and kales and things like that.
As for the parasite,
was there ever a concern that it would affect your produce? No, not at all.
Food from local growers requires limited handling and packing, a shorter travel distance, and is usually sold fresh, factors that all lower the chances of contamination. Yet there's still a level of caution in the air.
I think I'm just reconsidering like what I would and would not buy. Like a watermelon, I feel like is safe because you're not eating the outside of it. But I'll probably stay away from like lettuce, berries, that type of thing for a bit, just until it all blows over.
In Raleigh, Kirsten Clark, WRAL News.
She's probably not alone in that. Health officials say it can be hard to narrow down exactly what the source of the outbreak is. The CDC is advising people to not eat any recalled produce and to throw it away if you do have it.
Well, more than a dozen people are out of their homes, and that's because of an apartment fire in Raleigh over the weekend. This happened early yesterday morning at the Timbers apartment off West Millbrook Road. 8 different units that were damaged at this location, and at least 16 people are without a place to stay now. But here's the deal. No one was hurt, but the cause of the fire is still being investigated. Meanwhile, 2 people were sent to the hospital after a fire at a duplex in Durham. That happened on Rainer Street just before noon yesterday. One person was rescued from that fire, and another was able to escape on their own, but their conditions at this hour have not been released. There was also a fire at a home on Collier Road in Durham yesterday, and firefighters say that may have been weather-related. The damage was minimal, though, and no one was hurt in that fire. Time right now is 12:35 on the clock, and we're talking about a chatbot alert, the new AI feature that lets parents know if their teenagers are talking with chatbots about suicide.
E-bike injuries. Emergency room doctors are seeing a surge in kids hurt while riding e-bikes and scooters. The one mistake they say many parents make when they let their children ride these scooters.
Meta says it is introducing a feature that will alert parents if their teenager discusses suicide or self-harm with Meta AI. The company says it worked with parents and teen mental health clinicians to build a system to identify conversations where a teen makes clear references to hurting themselves. The company says all flagged chats will be manually reviewed before an alert is sent, though. Meta says it will share the expert resources to help parents approach these conversations with their teenagers. Now, if you or someone you know is in crisis, folks, there is help out there for you. Dial 988 to reach the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. You can also text it as well. Plus, you can find county-by-county mental health support resources on WRAL.com/gethelp. Consumer popular sugar substitutes may be linked to a faster decline in memory and thinking skills. That's according to a new study published by the American Academy of Neurology. Researchers found adults who consumed higher amounts of sweeteners experienced a 62% faster rate of cognitive decline. It was particularly evident among participants with diabetes. Sweeteners are commonly added to ultra-processed foods and beverages.
As electric bikes and scooters grow in popularity, so does the rise in injuries. Emergency rooms across the U.S. are seeing more children for a wide variety of related injuries. Doctors are seeing everything from fractures to traumatic brain injuries and skull breaks. An emergency medicine physician at Cleveland Clinic says the children tell her they were wearing a helmet, but here's the thing, it was the wrong kind of helmet. And that's because bicycle helmets do not provide the protection needed when going at a high rate of speed.
The kids think sometimes that they can zoom around and switch things, go from sidewalk to road, and it's just like having a bike. But because of how fast they can go, because of the enormous inertia and the trauma which can happen with it, they can be hit by other cars, which is something we see very commonly.
Dr. Grover recommends buying a helmet specifically designed for electric bikes and scooters. She also recommends parents check local laws because some cities are implementing bans as well as other restrictions. Bracing for Bertha. Many North Carolinians remember the damage caused from Hurricane Bertha back in 1996. In today's Ask the Meteorologist segment, we'll explain the difference between that system and the current tropical system.
Plus, neighborhood takeovers, residential areas overrun by people who don't live there. WRAL investigates the dangerous trend of takeover events and what's being done to stop these. Okay, so we are right in the middle of summer, right? But some people can't even enjoy their neighborhood pool or clubhouse, and that's because they say people are throwing so-called takeovers and allowing dozens of people who don't live there to enter. Now, in some cases, it's led to damage, even some violence. And people went to WRAL Investigates after experiencing years and years of problems. But finally, they needed some help. And Destiny Patterson has a preview of her story airing tonight on WRAL.
We've had people from 2 different neighborhoods reach out to us about their amenities, like their pool or their clubhouse, being overrun by people who don't live there, and in some cases, causing damage. In at least one case, someone sent us this video. It shows what looks like a confrontation.
These pop-up parties seem to be happening, weekly. lately, and it's between 20 and 50 teens show up.
Some of the residents here are not even wanting to use the facilities anymore because of that.
It's not a good feeling when you are actually scared for your life in the place that you call home, the place that I spent so much money and so much effort to try and, to make a dream for myself.
So what's being done to stop these so-called takeovers? Tonight at 6, WRAL Investigates is pressing the HOAs and law enforcement to see how they're planning to get these under control. Destiny Patterson, WRAL News.
A storm in the Gulf will soon be named Bertha. Longtime North Carolinians may remember a storm with the same name from 30 years ago. Hurricane Bertha slammed into North Carolina as a Cat 2 storm back on July 12, 1996. Bertha was blamed for 12 deaths, including 2 in North Carolina. Meteorologist Chris Michaels shows us how the two are different from one another in today's Ask the Meteorologist.
And behind me is a look at Hurricane Bertha as it was getting closer to making landfall in North Carolina about 30 years ago as a Category 2 storm. It wasn't long after that Hurricane Fran made landfall, so it really set off a very active pattern. Bertha is a name that was not retired. We have names that are in the rotation every 6 years, and so this year is that year, and it'll be a name again in 2032. 9.6 inches of rain, that's what was measured in Southport. There was a peak wind gust of 108 miles per hour at the New River Marine Corps Air Station, and it was estimated to have cost North Carolina anywhere between $270 and $400 million. This is one of those storms that formed near Africa's west coast. It moved north of the Caribbean islands and then made a beeline right for North Carolina, resulting in those more direct impacts, especially east of I-95, whereas here at home, we had about 1 to 4 inches of rain. The storm that is soon to be called Bertha in the Gulf, not going to have a direct impact on our weather, but its influence is indirect as it sends some moisture our way for our storm chances this week.
And we do need that moisture. It's good that the tropics are somewhat quiet, or have been, because we're getting a lot of activity just from the good old scattered storms that are rolling across the area.
That's right. And of course, once we get into the afternoon, we see those a lot more frequently. And the reason for that is we see all that afternoon heating, and that tends to bring us some lift in the atmosphere. So the storms typically fire up as we get into the afternoon. We heat things up a bit, and we'll have the potential for some wind damage like we saw yesterday.
Well, as we wrap things up, here's a look at a few of the headlines that were falling today on WRAL News. So in the last hour, we have learned that cyclospora cases are again going up in Wake County. 295 cases have been reported, which is an additional 25 infections since the last report. The number of people hospitalized with the illness remains the same, though, a total of 5. We will get an update from health leaders on the statewide numbers tomorrow.
A plane was damaged while landing at RDU today, closing an airfield. Officials at the airport say no one was hurt. Only one person was on board the single-engine plane at the time. A commercial runway was closed while crews inspected the damage and moved the disabled plane. It's unclear what caused the damage.
The Grifols pharmaceutical plant in Clayton is back up and running after a power outage. Authorities say that the strong storms last night, that is what led to this. The WRAL breaking news tracker was at that plant on US 70 Business around 1:30, give or take, this morning. One of the buildings lost pressure, causing an unfamiliar odor, but company management and the fire department determined there was no safety or environmental risk.
An annual bicycle event is underway in Iowa, and one rider has already racked up more than 5,000 miles. While the mileage might seem impressive, it's what he's riding that really stands out. The RAGBRAI is the oldest, largest, and longest recreational bicycle touring event in the world. The rolling celebration of Iowa attracts participants from all 50 states. Danny Davis rode his big, colorful bike and handed out pennies to everyone around him in hopes of sharing good luck. He also rides to raise money to buy kids bikes.
I ride this big goofy bike and it gets a lot of attention, and I ride to raise money to buy kids bikes. So I've given away over 100 bicycles already. I raise awareness for autism. My granddaughter Bella has autism, and I buy special bikes for special kids.
What a beautiful story. He says goofy, I say, unique. Look at that unique bike, and very colorful. Davis handed out 250 lucky pennies at this year's event to spread the message of joy through cycling.
Good on him. All right, immigrants on the voter rolls. A new Trump administration report claims that more than 200,000 non-citizens are registered to vote. PolitiFact looks into where that number comes from and whether it's accurate. Plus.
All right, Monday meeting time. What's going on, y'all?
Well, December is looking very interesting. Something big may be coming, and I've been looking over the numbers.
Okay, well, we got to look at the schedule then, make sure we're covered.
December, the winter, it's my favorite season. I'm so excited.
Okay, well, I mean, just be sure to have the numbers at 4.
All right, very important update you're going to see later this afternoon.
NBC News Daily is next on WRAL, your next local news update in 30 minutes.
But of course, you can get your breaking news updates anytime with the WRAL News app. Have a blessed day today.
Stay safe with the latest WRAL Weather Alert Day info. Get up to the minute weather and traffic conditions when you get in your car. In Raleigh on 99.3 FM, in Durham 96.5 FM, and everywhere on 101.5 HD3.